Mobile Suit Gundam Requiem of Vengeance, or Gundam Requiem of Vengeance, whatever you want to call it. It came out in 2024 on the 17th of October, which for me was pretty recent. So I'm just going to be breaking it down today. I'm going to be talking about it. I'm going to be seeing where I stand, and what I think compared to, just the rest of the Gundam series, and even as the show as a whole. So, what did I like? What did I dislike? And what made me want to turn off my laptop? We will be discussing that today. However, I'm just gonna get this out of the way right now, dog. I'm spoiling. Like I'm spoiling. I'm gonna be spoiling some stuff. If you want like my true opinion right now, I'm not giving it a number rating, but if you like Gundam, you should probably watch it. If you don't like Gundam, maybe you can watch it. Depends on what kind of show. It does have some flaws, and if you don't like 3D animation, you're gonna fucking hate this show. So yeah, that's about it. Anyway, let's keep going. So, came out in 2024. Came out very recently. Why am I bringing this up? Because the animation is interesting, to say the least. So, the animation on the actual mobile suits, it's fine. I like it personally. I think it gives a good weight to them. They have this nice clunkiness to them. And on top of that, thanks to it being 3D, we do see a lot of simulated effects, which allow everything to look really nice. It uses a animation engine called Unreal Engine 5. I've worked with that before, and as you can see from my 3D animation that I have produced in Blender, it's hard. It's really hard. I'm not going to pretend that I know what I'm doing, right? So it does look good from that aspect. However, jeez, the humans look bad. Like, oh my goodness. Oh. So they had this great idea to try to make the humans look as realistic as possible in the engine. The problem is they don't look that real, but they have sort of, they try to make them look as normal people as possible, but the animation, the models do not come across close enough to reality where you can go, this is good. And it just leads me to being like, hey, this just looks weird. Like, if you've seen the trailer, you've seen the human characters. They don't look great. They really don't. And then add on to the fact I was talking about how the machines were clunky, and that's great for the machines. You need a level of heft and a level of clunkiness to the 20-meter tall robot. But you know what you don't need the clunkiness to? The 5'7" girl with pink hair. Okay? She should not be moving like she weighs 2,000 metric tons. Okay? But they kind of move around that way. They're really clunky. And it's just not great. To be fair, there aren't any major issues. It's just, this is a big studio. Guys, this is a Gundam product. And it's also like being streamed by Netflix. This is a Netflix original show. So Netflix, big company, and Gundam, Sunrise, that company, the one that made like Code Geass, Mobile Suit Gundam, and other stuff. Yeah. They so those were the two like main money people here. And you produce something that looked like this in 2024. So I'm just gonna say it right now, the animation definitely holds it back, especially if you want to see character interaction. And what I mean by that is the facial expressions between the characters. It not only doesn't look as great as you wish it was for a show that heavily relies on character drama, like a Gundam show, which, typically is very dramatic and all that jazz. So, it doesn't the it doesn't match what they're saying most of the time, unfortunately. And it also leads to the fact that both the dub and sub of this show are really, really good. All the voice cast behind everything, they're putting in a lot of effort. Unfortunately, the faces always look as if they're giving 50%. And I know that sounds really, really harsh. I'm not trying to imply that the animators were lazy, in no sense of the word. I'm just saying that it seems like the models and the aesthetic they're going for while using Unreal Engine 5 combined all that jazz together means that most likely it, you're not going to like the look of the show when the humans are on screen. Now you may be going, "Oh, well, it is a Gundam show, so I prefer the Gundams to look good over the humans," and I am of that opinion. You know? However, it got to the point where it started off where the humans would not necessarily provide a good enough establishment of their characteristics, because typically something that a lot of directors and writers and all that they'll write down little character moments that characters don't say but they act it out through the use of body language. That's very important to us as human beings, and because of their clunkiness, their body language is not that great here. And combine that with a script that could probably use one or two rewrites, it is quite messy. However, I do need to say this: it does provide a really, really, really solid experience for at least, I would say, the first two episodes. Now, I'm getting into spoilers, but essentially, the first two episodes count on the Xeon forces moving through their designated war zone, right? Pick one. The whole planet's on fire and in war, so take your section, right? This is during the 1 year war. I'm pretty sure Amuro and White Base are off doing their own thing, so this is a side story, and we meet the Red Wolves, and their captain is really smart and really badass and cool, and they saved the platoon that got ambushed by the Earth Federation, and boom, they took care of that, and they captured a building. But surprise, surprise, the Earth Federation knew what was coming, and they sent a certain mobile suit to deal with the enemy. And as you can probably guess from the promotional images, it is a modified RX-78-2. I believe I was reading somewhere it's, I believe, either a Model E or a Model G. It might be one of both. But it's a new Gundam. And it looks terrifying. And that is great. That is probably the best thing about this show. When the Gundam is on screen, for at least the first half of the show, it feels powerful, it feels prevalent, and it feels like why the Xeon started the rumor. Because keep in mind, this machine is called the White Devil. That's its nickname by Xeon forces. You know, why does it have that name? That's why. This specialized platoon, or sorry, mobile suit squad, just defeated the Earth Federation forces, right? And they're having a great old time. And then they get sneak attacked by the Gundam, and they're still fighting. They're like, "Oh, it's just one mobile suit, it's fine." And then the plasma blaster, or the plasma cannon, it fires its first shot. And when plasma rifle, when it fires its first shot, the entire demeanor of the story right then and there changes. And to be fair, it's only that's at the 20-minute mark of, so they didn't establish much, but they did make attempts to establish how Xeon is operating, how well they're doing in the war. And then boom, just like that, I think it's 6 Zaku's all destroyed. and there are very few. There's like 20 survivors, if that, and it changes everything. And that's how it should feel. This machine was supposed to turn the tide of war, and showing how it did that in other sections, not just through the original main cast from the original TV show, but showing its effect in every single aspect. And you do notice something though. You see that the Gundam is a different model than the original RX, so it obviously leads you to clue in that, hey, this is not Amuro, this is clearly someone different. Therefore, it does give a little bit of tension of what can happen considering it's a different Gundam pilot, so we know that the story is completely different. And then we get to the junkyard. Now, I, for the most part, like the use of the junkyard. However, that section changes it changes the dynamic. So as the Gundam felt like an unstoppable force, it was just tearing through mobile suits. Platoons of Zaku. They sent in 2 goofs to fight to help survivors, and they were just completely destroyed. And then they get to the junkyard. And I kid you not, the junkyard not only has enough mechanical parts to put together 2 fully functional Zaku 2s, but then our 2 main pilots, who got their asses kicked by this Gundam prior, get in those buckets of bolts and somehow manage to fight off not only the Gundam that destroyed them previously, but also another mobile suit called a Jim, which is a very similar status to the original Gundam. Meaning that somehow these characters fought their way out of a situation which should have killed them. And I know you may be wondering, it's a TV show. It should be like, they're naturally going to have a lot of plot armor. However, my issue is not when the plot is keeping characters alive, it's when the plot does not provide a valid reason for characters to be alive. What do I mean by this? Well, first off, the Zaku 2s are doing much better against this Gundam the second time, which does make overall sense. They know it better, they've seen it fight, and they're not caught off as surprised anymore. However, add into the fact that the Jim is there, and it gets to the point where it's like, okay, this is a little unbelievable, but if they play their cards right, they should be fine. Newsflash, they don't play their cards right. They don't. They somehow manage to beat the Jim, right? And then the Jim starts running away. Now, that was due to a surprise attack, a surprise ambush from the Zaku cannon type, which was stationed in the base as well, so it was an additional weapon that they didn't account for. However, then one of our main cast chases after the Zaku, or chases after the Jim, my apologies, and proceeds to shoot it down as much as humanly possible. Okay, that makes sense. The Jim is not a super impressive machine, but then you watch the Gundam follow that machine, and it proceeds to not shoot the pilot or the cockpit. It proceeds to shoot the weapon or the arm or something like that. And it got into the point where the characters are not moving out of the way. They are taken multiple times by surprise in this episode by the Gundam pilot destroying their limbs rather than the cockpit. And you may be thinking, oh, that's maybe a character trait. I've even watched some mecha anime where characters will intentionally remove the limbs of their adversaries because they want them to suffer more. It's more of a psychological mess up thing, right? That makes sense. However, unfortunately, the opening scene where we first get introduced to the Gundam, we see that it specifically attacks the cockpits of any and all mobile suits. So, why would it suddenly not do the thing it was introduced doing just because the plot needed it to happen? And then later on, we see that the Gundam is blocking bullets for the gym as the pilot is trying to get out. So our main character, she puts her hand on one of her men and says, "Hey, don't kill this guy. You know, his machine is damaged. We can't let that happen." You know, basically having morals, right? And then from then on, it makes sense why the Gundam is not going as aggressive against the Zaku's. That makes sense. However, in this episode, it makes no sense for why the Gundam, which was completely dismantling other platoons with certain efficiency, now suddenly became bad at his job. Like, I know everyone can have a rough day, but it's just lackluster to say the least. And then we move later on as they continually travel. They try to evacuate the planet, which is then our final battle. And obviously, there are bumps and, there are a few bumps and turns along the way. But for the most part, the final battle is where everything kind of comes together. And I haven't mentioned this before. One of the overall themes of the show is wanting vengeance, wanting to destroy, wanting to, destroy your enemy. We can't kill or be killed, that kind of stuff. I mean, it's called Requiem of Vengeance. Like, could you guess it had vengeance involved? And I do like the way it is handled. I do think it does provide a good aspect to it, especially since we are in the Gundam universe where that means new types exist, and we actually find out that our main commander is a new type, and she really connects with the Gundam pilot due to both of them being new types, and this leads to conflict where they kind of feel each other's pain and stuff, and they get memories, and they, just a big crash of emotions at the very end. This leading to the Gundam saving her, but in the process dies, right? And then she proceeds to not go home and instead go to, I think it was Africa, and basically start sort of like a peaceful group to help other soldiers let go of their vengeance or something like that. And to be fair, I don't mind it. No, I do mind the ending. I don't mind the concept of the ending. However, I'm going to be honest. She is a shitty person. And you may be wondering why. And I'm about to tell you, because this is a review. So, the entire story, we've been building up that she is a parent. She wants to get home for her kid. That's also one of the reasons she gets super attached to the Gundam pilot, because the Gundam pilot is relatively young. He can't be older than 16, So, she has a kid at home. That is her main motivation for getting back. And she doesn't. She's given the opportunity to, but instead she stays behind to make sure everyone else can get back safe. That I agree with. That's a good character moment. It shows her compassion for others, which has already been amplified and, digest and, brought to the forefront throughout this entire show. That's good. However, after the ending, she should have gone back to her colony. I'm going to be frank. She should have gone back up to space in her space colony because her kid is there. That was her entire motivation for a solid 5 or 6 for 5 episodes. For 5 episodes, we were introduced to the concept of why she's doing this thing, and she's doing it for this and this and this and this. And then the show decides she's gonna not do something to change, and she changed her motivation because of the impact of the Gundam pilot. Cool, but it doesn't. It just makes her seem not only more flimsy, but less logical. She is a single mother, and she proceeds to abandon her kid with making no attempt that we can see at the end of the show to get back into space. And you expect me to not raise my eyebrow and go, What is going on? She Her entire motivation changed due to that one fight. Okay, cool. We should have been given in prior to that. But no, it really does feel like at the end of the show, she just abandons her kid. And to be fair, it's Netflix. They probably have some stupid 5 season plot, and we're all gonna hate it after like season 3 or whatever. But unfortunately, I can't see the future. If I did that, oh boy, I would have bought some lottery tickets. But like, we only have one season, so I can only judge it on that one season. So, as of right now, it's inconsistent, it's incohesive, and it doesn't provide a very filling reunion, even though her motivation is reuniting with her son. So I can't get behind it. And overall, I gotta be honest, it's quite average, if not a little bit below. And I will say though, the first 2 episodes do so much for the series that they do bring it up to its final score. And as of today, as I'm making this, I'm gonna give Mobile Suit Gundam Requiem of Vengeance a solid, well, not solid, passing 5.5 out of 10. I do like some of what it does. However, the script needed to be written over again, maybe looked at, or maybe if they were like, hey, this is a 2 season plan, then it would make sense. But right now, it just is not good. Anyway, folks, that is my video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I would actually like to see what you guys thought of the series, because I have not heard anyone talk about this apart from the questionable animation. So I would like to see you guys and your opinions of basically what it is as far as script wise, because I can kind of tolerate this animation. It doesn't make it great, but it doesn't make it terrible. you know Also, uh, if you guys want me to do anything more about Mobile Suit Gundam, as you can probably guess from this review, I do know a lot about the franchise, so I might be getting into it, or sorry, bringing you guys, the viewers, into it a little bit more. So just tell me if you want to see it. I could get some matchups ideas, I could review more shows, I could do whatever. But yeah, anyway, I'm signing out today. I'm kind of tired. So I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.